The purpose of this presentation is to inform you on listening. Does anyone know the difference between hearing and listening? Hearing is vibrations of sound waves on the eardrums, and listening is paying close attention to what we hear. Does anyone know what types of listening there are? Types of listening: appreciative, empathetic, comprehensive, and critical. Appreciative listening is listening for pleasure or enjoyment. Empathetic listening is listening to provide emotional support for the speaker. Comprehensive listening is listening to understand a message.
All right, comprehensive listening. First, let us learn what comprehensive means in this application, and to do so, understand the word comprehensive coming from the word comprehend. Comprehending is understanding with your mind, having a grasp on a particular subject or many subjects. You need a somewhat large vocabulary in many cases to understand what some speakers are talking about, but also sometimes the speaker may be speaking above the audience. That is why you hear people say things like, "Hey Doc, can you put that in lay terms for me?" In comprehensive listening, we need to be able to extract important facts or words from the speaker. Also, body language can be a tool to be able to understand the speaker. Also, body language can be used as a listener to help encourage the speaker. How's that? Next up, we have critical listening. Critical listening is listening to evaluate a message. It involves judgment, analysis, and critical thinking. Does anybody know an example of critical listening? One example is a political debate. It occurs usually when the audience has a responsibility to evaluate what and how something is being said. Examples of poor listening. Number one, not concentrating. Be courteous to the speaker. Multitasking is good most of the time, but not when someone is speaking. Then it's just rude. Put down all your reading material. Do not look at your phone. Avoid interruptions, and always try to look directly at the person speaking. Next up is listening too hard. Not much really to be said about this, except there are things that listening too hard can affect. For example, you may be more interested in their accent and trying to pinpoint where they're from instead of listening to what they're saying. Next up is jumping to conclusions. Have you ever been trying to explain something to someone? They take what you're saying the wrong way and they start making an argument that has nothing to do with what you're trying to say. They're jumping to conclusions. Also, focusing on delivery and appearance. People look different. That is just what makes us an individual. But when you're listening to a public speaker, you should try not to be distracted by these types of things. Also, a problem may be spare brain time. People can think much faster than the speed of a speaker. You would think that this spare time would help in understanding what a speaker is trying to convey, but really it just gives your brain time to wander and become distracted. Just try really hard to avoid this, because it's hard to get back to what the speaker is trying to present. Also, work on focus listening. Listen for the main points. You do this when you get a second opinion from a doctor. Also, whenever discussing, say, financial contracts. Look at the evidence. Is there a source? Is the source credible? Does it relate to the point? Does it seem reasonable to you? And then also technique. So as you listen more and more to important ideas, everyone will develop their own techniques. Try to do this by watching political debates or teaching lectures. Listening to people's opinions on issues and how they came about having that stance is a very important skill to master. And I'd also like to end with a quote from French philosopher Voltaire. You gain power when you listen, you give it away when you speak.